just
drill
a hole into the surface of
Nether.
So, with that, my friends, let's jump into super fast build mode and build out this machine.
Welcome to the Hermitcraft Recap. My name is PixelRiffs, our writer is LoyXP, and we don't cover live streams because we are not made of time. Unfortunately, the both of us just can't be there for every time the Hermits take down a team of competitors over on Twitch. But guess what? You can. Probably. The point is, the group has been super active there lately, from participating in Minecraft Championships to recently winning a round of Twitch Rivals. So check that out. The VODs have to be on their second channel somewhere.
No! No! Yes! 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 Oh! Oh! Yes!
Well done. Well
Go,
done.
I'm gonna
man.
die!
In the meantime, the recap will focus on the YouTube side of things, which naturally means a long segment on Clio streaming some Bioshock. And with that out of the way, let's take a look at all the events and mishaps that occurred on the Hermitcraft server this week. Starting with Tinfoil Chef, who takes his now traditional trip to the shopping district. Relieving the chest monster of a few half-price shulker boxes and following his nose to the new Cinnabons shop, he returns to his tower to swap out the lower half of the structure with white concrete and bone blocks, then builds two corners of it all the way to build limit, and starts thinking about some very tall item elevators.
Yeah, and that's going to take up a bunch of vertical space all by itself. Yeah, that's going to be special.
Having experienced the thrills of armor stand knockback last week, Zedaf pulls together False Symmetry, Azuma and Cubfan to try out his own take on the same mechanic. This time, Zed has already put together a whole mini-golf course ready for play, so they play it, with proper dress code, of course.
Can we just take a moment to appreciate that golf is the best sport in Minecraft? Like, so many different varieties of golf have been played on Hermitcraft over the years. It's just another great. It's a long and storied history.
I wouldn't say it's great just yet, Cub. You've not played my version.
Impulse SV has more than 9 holes to worry about. When he shows up to remind Iskall about a certain bedrock breaking job, it turns out Iskall had a larger order in mind.
Well, like this area?
Well,
like this general area?
I'm not saying I can't. But that's a lot of work, and
sounds good. Sounds good. I shall
wait.
I shall await the hole
what?
to arrive. Thank you.
This is
all
gonna
right,
be a large
bye.
bill. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Bye.
Impulse pays it forward by signing up for the Hedge Games, presumably so he can relieve Iskall of more diamond blocks, but more on that in a moment. For now, the disc section of Impulse's base gets decorated and connected to the rest of the structure via bubble elevator. As for the aforementioned mass topiary competition, Iskall decides it needs a grand prize for the person who helps him gather the majority of the 1,000,000 leaves he requires. So after a marathon ancient debris mining session during which he only took a break to laugh at Mumbo's fashion choices,
How do I look, dude?
he crafts 10 blocks of netherite and heaps them in front of Bernie the leaf counting machine, along with a bunch of other valuable blocks. He also throws in the opportunity to have the winner's face permanently carved into the trunk of his tree. The grind doesn't end there, because his long-forgotten redstone shop needs to be stocked up and could do with rebranding. Redesigning the facade so it's less samurai and more Autobot, the Omega store is retrofitted with display gadgets in glass cases, and he commissions Zombie Clio to design a mascot for the tank in the center.
This one is called the Bouncing Diamond Man. Let's try it out. It's so random.
False Symmetry sees a different opportunity in Iskall's Omega Thing of Doom, and so she breaks out the Prank Symmetry persona and puts a much-needed clown hat onto the build. Now looking like a squinting Robo-Bozo, the thing even gets its own Noteblock theme song.
Clown hat, red nose, and... Yes!
False's main project for the week, though, is of course the Nether Hub she's been entrusted with last time we met, and which by now has been fully funded. The central tower takes the shape of a rotunda-like cylinder building, available for expansion in any direction and made mostly of warped stems. Maybe it will get some nice tunnels too if the whole whitelist suddenly loses their elytra.
There is of course lots and lots of detail to be added, but I think I'm going to do that off camera. But I'll be basically building something. If I like it, I then build it somewhere else. That's what I call copy pasting.
Plenty of members already have their nether bases too, they just have to connect them to the grid. Azuma's, for example, comes with a feather farm, just in case he needs to book and quill something. Though his main efforts are still focused on the overworld where you can actually farm sugarcane for the books. The nether trophies still come in handy when X checks out the Hedge Games and blasts most of the gaming district jungle with a netherite hoe. Really, that foliage is more useful to himself, seeing as how he decided to cover the feet of his base towers in a dense forest. Sending some real mixed signals to the ecology there, Azuma.
Because originally we had a plan to rip out the rivers, to fill them in with grass and then build on top of them. But as the season has gone by, I've realised that building small scale down in the jungle isn't really a part of what I'm going to do for this project. It's all about the big towers.
Well, the whitelist is about to get a face full of encouragement to build in the nether because Grian has been running around leaving yeeter-shaped invitations to come join him in the hot tub, or rather above it, hanging by your toes.
This is how we deliver the invitation to the Upside Down. Oh no. I think I'm in love.
Hello there, Robot Green. What do you got up here? Let's see. Invitation. Ooh, I've always wanted an invitation.
As more of the Wonder Mansion leaks into the nether, Grian awaits more guests for his housewarming party, and one really does wonder how many of those guests will be BOO.
I can't help but feel I'm wasting all of my Grian heads for this gag.
Oh boy, he must be lonely out there.
Anyway, if you ever wanted to see what a whole shulker box of TNT looks like when used for netherite mining, here it is. Still not quite enough to compete with Iskall, but not to worry, the difference can always be bought at Cubfan's Cinnabons store. Which is a Cinnabon store that sells ancient debris, because they kinda look like Cinnabons, but maybe not from the angle Cub placed them in the actual store.
And then we just press this. Or any button, really. And there we go. Cinnabons are restocked.
The going rate is 1 diamond block per bun, so quick maths makes that 36 delicious cubic meters per netherite block. Gold ingots sold separately. The sweets have a tad less luck with Zombie Clio. She does build a giant ice cream cone, but also builds it already dropped on the ground for the saddest ice cream store design available.
With giant sprinkles.
Which preps you just fine for the prices in the place, since the ice cream stores by the zoo will charge you triple in my experience.
And I've put in things like raspberry slush and lemon and lime sorbet and strawberry lollies and cola pops, and they do look a bit like ice cream now that I think about it.
But while most of the whitelist has been rolling in their 1.16 wonders for a while now, Good Times with Scar is still making his way to the new materials. After all, he did choose the slower, if noisier way down there.
This thing looks pretty darn impressive in the end, maybe even mega in terms of size.
The big drill of the Big Dig is now actually attached to a machine ready to lower it into the tectonic crust and beyond. All the while, Scar's preparing to shake the grounds of the commercial district too, with a hefty employment reform that would allow the locals to score a wad of cash by helping the state out and removing some of that pesky mycelium. The job board is planned to be something of a quest giver backed by the Diamond Throne. And it's got to work out great considering how fast the Nether Hub materials, heads, and leaves have been piling up.
Think of it as an RPG, and they'll go to the board and select the quest that they'd like to take in the beautification and the transformation of the shopping district.
XB Crafted has been landscaping his way through a project of his own, connecting the apocalyptic cityscape to the town of Casa with a tunnel built from basalt and blackstone. After signing up for the Hedge Games contest, he has a friendly contest of his own by inviting Wells Knight, Vintage Beef, and Joe Hills over for a 2v2 match at the arena, with a bonus free-for-all round.
My bad.
Yeah.
We might need to yell
they've been
something.
double teaming me the whole match.
All right.
Yeah, we might need to yell something like when you get a kill so that people know not to immediately.
Okay.
It helps that Joe got some target practice in at Cubfan's latest minigame project last week. But he has some personal projects in his crosshairs too, creating a mural in his town hall office which really outlines his whole reason for being in government, and expanding the storage cellar at his winery.
I got a green screen lamp in here, so I can sit in front of it if I want to web camera later for my Zoom meetings. Boom. Maybe I need a bigger lamp.
Joe also heads to the Nether to relocate his portal to the regulation height, and narrowly avoids a ghastastrophe when he checks out False's progress on the Nether Hub.
So, yeah, objectively, there's a lot of ways this is not going well.
It's a shame the 2v2 throwdown happened before Etho had the opportunity to finish his additions to XB's arena, because there are now randomly timed armor stand jump scares, and even a way to draw out your opponent from the blinds by dropping anvils on them with a well-placed arrow. Maybe the rest of the server should be concerned that Etho now has a way to drop anvils on them remotely, but he makes up for it with a much more benign base building montage.
I've always been a little bit tempted to just one episode, spend the whole thing planning out a build, do a building montage like that, and then just be like, hey guys, guess what? We're gonna go do something else now, guys, and like not show you the final build. Oh, could you imagine? Oh, that would be so funny.
Vintage Beef has a different kind of ambush in mind, ambush marketing. With his wallpaper store hurting for customers, he swings by his old neighbor Wells Knight's house to paste Eternal Sunshine all over a conveniently blank wall. More walls go up at his Cyberpunk Town project, which gets an addition to both its structure and its identity. He now has a few more builds in progress and has chosen a name for the island, which, under the moonlight and shaders, is looking prettier every day.
It's a big F! What does the F stand for, you say?
Mortis.
Well, I'm officially announcing a name for this project, 3 Fox Hole, because of those guys right there.
He also finally enters peace talks with Corrales, who wants Carlos the Turtle gone in exchange for rolling back the expansion towards Vintage Beef's beach resort town. Corrales drives a hard bargain and also a tank, demanding free posters and musical instruments from Vintage Beef for life, and also the return of Matilda if Beef can figure out where she actually got to.
So all her friends are here. There was an escape not long ago, okay? And I found like a bunch of her friends were like wandering back here, but I have not found Matilda. I don't know where she is.
Look into my eyes, nothing eyes. Are you lying to me?
No lying. I promise you. I've been looking.
In exchange, Corrales aims to commission Good Times with Scar to terraform the stretch of land separating Beef's base and his own. Corrales would spend the rest of the week building a barn and a road by it too, if not for Tango Tech pulling him aside for his tank building skills. Truly, the library of vehicle designs Corrales keeps lugging around with him has piqued Tango's interest. He wanted some kind of car driving off into the sea for Toontown, and the council of the two of them decided it could only be the Scooby-Doo van. R.I.P. Mystery Gang, I suppose. As for Tango's own skills, they are once again put to use bringing the decked-out game closer to completion. The custom terrain for the spawners alone is no small feat, but that work is capped off with the card analyzer apparatus, which itself is a nightmare of redstone operations with its item filters and the ability to change the whole dungeon's layout on a whim.
And if you keep going, this is going to lead to another room over here, and this is where the skeleton spawner is. We're gonna maybe build a tower, which is the snowy, icy area here. Again, not done anywhere near a high bat. We're not anywhere close to done here.
Which must be what the chickens think of B00's new chicken farm, a coop with redstone features that allow him to dunk them into lava or a campfire at a moment's notice. But while he's been multiplying chickens, Grian's invitations to the Upside Down have also been multiplying, and they might just be taking over his house before long. B-Dubs promises to check it out, but first he has a couple of tweaks to add to the windows and roofs of his clifftop castle.
I love it. I love it. See how that does that? Where all of a sudden now you know it's not just one dark blob. There's some difference in there.
And finally there's Mumbo, who takes some inspiration from the comments section for the final centerpiece of his base, a golden heart suspended from the top of the tower. His own invitation to the Upside Down arrives just as he starts to take down the chariot and add the finishing touches to the outside of his base, adding ruined and overgrown sections and terraforming the grassy patches on the perimeter.
I'm seriously loving it, and I do just want to extend a massive thank you to Iskal for initially getting me interested in terraforming, and then obviously Scar for just being someone who puts out great examples of it on the Hermitcraft server.
It might be time to pay attention to the inside though, because as he learns, the unlit area around his portal is giving the overworld mobs an easy route through to the Nether. And that's about it for this week's recap. Our writer is LoyXP, and my name is Pixorix. This week, I've taken over a piglin bastion where I intend to live as a goat. Don't forget to leave a like while you're still here, and subscribe so you won't miss future recaps. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.